Let's bring in the Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis from the great state of Florida. He's a member of House Judiciary Committee and House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning.
You want to give the folks down in Florida something to talk about. Tell us your big announcement.
Well, as you remember, a few weeks ago, the president tweeted support for me as a candidate for governor of Florida. So today we're going to be filing the paperwork to begin that effort. And as somebody who's a military officer, Iraq veteran, a proven conservative, and then with the support of the president, I'm in a position to exercise the leadership that can build on the great work that Governor Rick Scott has done to advance economic opportunity, reform education, and drain the swamp in Tallahassee, which needs to be drained just like Washington. And people can go to my website at rondesantis.com if they want to take a look.
Well, I did read down in the Florida Press, Mr. DeSantis, that apparently you've got your own leadership team, some prominent Americans who have signed up to help you. They include a couple of billionaires. Sheldon Adelson is on your team. Rebecca Mercer is on your team. Foster Friess is on your team. Why are they on your team?
Well, I think a lot of it is because I've been somebody who has a proven track record of leading in the Congress. You had mentioned some of the investigations into the foundation,
right,
into Uranium One, what we're doing to hold people like Peter Strzok and the FBI accountable, and then some of the legislative initiatives from helping with the tax bill to doing things to hold Iran accountable. So I think it's if you work hard and you do good things, I think people tend to notice that.
Right, and you're willing to take action and go front and center and talk about it. Meanwhile, the FBI has done something you've been calling for a while. They're finally looking into the Clinton Foundation. They're doing an investigation to find out if essentially that nonprofit, that charitable organization, was actually a pay-for-play, a wink and a nod for the Clintons, to get the president possibly huge speaking fees for influence for the Secretary of State and the supposed heir apparent for the nomination for President of the United States in Hillary Clinton. What do you think they'll find?
Well, this has been an issue that's really lingered for years, Brian. Finally, last year, I and a couple others in the Congress, with the revelation that there was a confidential informant who was involved in the Russian racketeering underlying the Uranium One deal, that he wanted to come forward. We brought him forward. We started an investigation. But if you look at what happened around that time, the chairman of Uranium One gave $2.3 million to the Clinton Foundation in 2009, 2010, while this deal was pending. And yes, there are other people on this CFIUS board, but clearly if the Secretary of State objected to that deal, that would probably be fatal. And that was never really vetted and investigated. And so I think the efforts we started in the Congress, and we're going to continue, I think the FBI had to take a look at it. And I do think that they are talking to this informant and are going to get all the facts along with the Congress.
Good. Also, there's a report out with the Daily Beast. They're suggesting that the Department of Justice is looking into reopening Hillary Clinton's email server case as well. And this goes to the larger issue about, as you know, it was just a couple of days ago that Devin Nunes got the information to all of the redacted FBI interviews and stuff like that, so they can finally figure out whether or not there's a political bias at the FBI, because that troubles all Americans.
Well, think about it. You have a former sailor in federal prison because he took a picture of a submarine inside. You're not supposed to do that. I mean, it's wrong.
Right.
But Hillary had this server set up where there was all kinds of classified information transferring on that all the time. Huma had it, access. Anthony Weiner ended up with this stuff on his computer, yet nobody was held accountable. And now we know with the Peter Strzok text messages, this is a guy that hated Donald Trump. He wanted Hillary to be president. He's responsible for changing gross negligence in Comey's statement, which is criminal, to extreme carelessness. He was also involved in downgrading the FBI's assessment that her server was very likely hacked by foreign agents to where it's
James Comey
inconclusive. Exactly. So everything that was done that was questionable dovetailed with them trying basically to bend over backwards not to make the case against her. And it's a big contrast to how they're doing the Mueller investigation, where they're trying to scorch the earth and do whatever they can find to stick. And I think Americans look at that and they say, should we have equal application of the law, or should some people get the easy way and others really get the screws to them?
Hey, before you go, I've got one question for you, Ron, regarding a segment we did 2 segments ago, and that is how the federal government and the president now opening up lands off, or rather offshore drilling leases so that people would be able to drill off the East Coast, including Florida, off California. Rick Scott, who's the current governor there, doesn't like the idea. What do you think about it?
Well, I agree with Governor Scott. You know, in Florida, our coastline is so important to our economy. It's important to property values. It's important to tourism. And we need to protect our coastline. I am for energy exploration. I was for ANWR. And if there's other states that have different calculations and they want to do offshore, that's fine. But I'm going to be fighting with Governor Scott to protect Florida's coastlines. And you know what? I think this is just a draft proposal. And I think that the White House will ultimately be with us. And I think we will be able to work it out so that Florida's beaches are protected.
Okay.
Steve, we want to make sure you're coming down and still enjoying your time in Florida.
But he also talks about energy independence, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can do that. I mean, if you look at the Permian Basin, look at the Bakken, look at the ANWR, look at some other states that may want to do offshore. They may not be as sensitive as Florida is, but I think we've had a long history of wanting to have protections for our coastline, and guys like me are going to fight to continue that, and I think we'll get that done.
All right. Well, Congressman, thank you first for serving our country. Thanks also for serving in Washington. Could become the next governor of Florida. He announced this morning he's going to be running because Rick Scott has served 2 consecutive terms, so he has to step down. We wish you all the best.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.